Professor Al-Roth, welcome to the Marshall Institute for Philanthropy and Social Entrepreneurship. It's just such a delight to have you here at the London School of Economics. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you. It's great to be here.
What's also fascinating about the work you do is that the process of generating the science is done together with practitioners, right? I mean, with surgeons and with teachers and with administrators. And that is actually very consistent with the model of knowledge generation that we have here at the Marshall Institute and through many of the work that we do at the LSE, which is a model of co-generating knowledge together with practitioners and policymakers, so that the science we create is created with others, and that the action that's created through that science, then the findings of that make their way back into science. But that's an unusual way to generate knowledge and to practice science. Could you talk a little bit about the challenges, but also perhaps the benefits of such a model?
Well, economics touches on so many aspects of human life that economists are in the fortunate position of being able to learn something from almost everyone. And especially when you're involved in helping surgeons organize surgeries, or helping school administrators organize school choice, or helping labor markets, different professions organize their labor markets. As an economist who seeks to know something about markets, but doesn't have a lot of expertise on those particular markets at the beginning, market designers have a lot to learn from our collaborators. And market design is, of course, a very outward-facing part of economics. We try to show up and help people when their markets are broken. And of course, there are many markets that are somewhat broken, and not all of them get redesigned in a useful way. And I think all the successes that my colleagues and I have had, each of them is associated with finding some internal champion. That is, in school choice, we started with the director of high school operations of the New York City Department of Education. In medical markets, we started with Elliot Parenson, who was already helping run the clearinghouse that American doctors used to match. In kidney exchange, my first surgeon partners were Frank Delmonico in New England, and then Mike Reese in Ohio. And without surgeons to explain to other surgeons why it's worthwhile to listen to economists, there's very little chance of success. It turns out that surgeons didn't automatically think of economists as fellow members of the helping professions.
That's how funny that.
Yeah, there's no accounting. Yeah, that's why I wrote a book.
But clearly, though, the first people you spoke to, you had to code switch a little bit, right, to be able to speak.
Absolutely.
Well about.
Now, I don't have a formula for this, but often when you find the right person, you find that they're eager to talk to you, because you think about the market for American doctors. Most American doctors and most American medical administrators aren't particularly interested in how new doctors get their first jobs. They're interested in other things: how we do knee surgery, how we train gastroenterologists, all the things that doctors and medical administrators should be interested in. But there are some people, directors of medical fellowship programs, things like that, who worry a lot about how we hire doctors and how we place our new doctors. And when you finally meet the right guys, they're relieved. They've been trying to get their colleagues interested in this, but their colleagues just want to talk about how to make people healthier. And finally, they meet someone who wants to talk about how doctors get jobs. So when you find the right people, often it's a two-way street. They're glad to hear that someone else has been thinking about this and happy to explain to you all the details you need to know, which isn't always a smooth process. It's not always obvious what details you need to know, either to you, since you don't know the details, or to them, since they don't know what you do.
Right. And so there has to be, I imagine, in that space too, a long period of relationship building to be able to understand.
Absolutely, and also some iteration. So in kidney exchange, when we first started to talk to our surgical colleagues, the way it worked is we wrote a paper. My colleagues, Typhoon Sunmez and Utku Unver and I wrote a paper called Kidney Exchange, and we sent it to as many surgeons as we could think of. And only one of them answered, and that was Frank Delmonico. And we eventually helped him start the New England program for kidney exchange. But when he understood a little bit about what we thought should happen, he said to us, you're proposing much too ambitious a kind of kidney exchange. We're just going to be able to do the simplest exchanges between two pairs. If you want to be helpful, tell us how to organize those. And so we did, and that's how the New England Program for Kidney Exchange began. But as we understood their constraints and a little better, we were able to say to them, it would really be helpful if you could do slightly larger exchanges, and eventually they were persuaded and figured out the logistics to let them do that. And then eventually we thought about how to organize even larger exchanges through chains. And that was an iterative process. It took a while. The first kidney exchanges that we organized were in the early 2000s. And it wasn't really till 2009 that we were in a position to talk about the benefits of long chains.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time, Professor Roth.